I'm trying to get my assignment finished. It's probably going to take 3 or 4 days, I guess, and I would give it until the end of the week even, because there's so much, that I didn't include that I need to redo. So basically, the whole thing I have to redo it because this is my original one. So it says, I argue the role of gender in contemporary literature is influential because it helps to learn, acknowledge, and perceive gender, which they said was no good. That's what literature always does, and they said that was no good. And then my intro was the role of gender in contemporary literature helps to outline gender roles in society and offers a landmark towards cultural idea of gender roles and gender expectations. Because term gender is universal, to offer it a place in literature is to learn about how to acknowledge and perceive by gender. So that was my intro. It's supposed to be 150 words though, so that was very small. And this is like my first go at writing an essay. I haven't done uni since forever, and I don't remember it at all. So, and then this is my essay. Okay. So gender is the identity to which all human beings can link themselves. Knowledge, thirst, power. To describe gender in literature is to describe humanity as a whole, the role each person plays as they live out their lives through generations. Perception, clarity, agree. These are the main connections to any individual who looks at things to discover themselves and their society, inspire, learn. This is a result of seeing through the eyeglass to receive the notion of what you do know and what you do not already know. Human beings do not just relate, they also educate their minds as they delve into literature to understand what motivates their desire and what appeases their inquiring attitudes. Who, what, when, where, how. These are the bases on which questions are answered. Think about how alone humanity would feel if no one were around to answer each such questions. Gender is the driving force behind any observation. The fate of gender in the modern age is something that has allowed the development of thought. When a listener learns from a teacher, they might consider all other options before jumping to conclusions that lead to understanding of lifestyle as we know it. This enhances the basic human need to understand and reflect, to listen and learn. The desire for understanding comes from the inner craving, which seeks to answer what is important in the world of humanity and to understand with clarity inner workings of human desire. The era of stereotypical thought allows society to learn in action and reaction, allowing for the reflection of understanding, blah, blah, blah. Most genders... Hang on. This is going to take a while to read. Most genders, when offered the option to showcase their desires with their cultural identity, go to lengths to show basic understanding. This can lead to the clashing of genders, which allows for the exposing of what one gender discovers about the other gender. Most genders can desire to learn about humanity, and in this they go to lengths to understand gender. Teachings about gender can branch away from common expectations, and this can cause intrigue, which propels interest in the study of understanding gender. Most identification of gender is done by researchers and scientists who develop a theory and then issue lengthy research to test the theory until they have discovered and ended their research with conclusions. This helps the discovery of gender and breaks down innocence with exposure. Okay, so this is one of my citations. Females from Venus and males from Mars, and then it has the writer. Are one of the modern transitions of trying to explain why two genders are different, blah, blah, blah. So, this is all wrong. Or should I read it in full? Okay, I'll go back to where I was. Teachings about gender can branch away from common expectations, and this can cause intrigue, which propels interest in the study of understanding of gender. Most identification of gender is done by researchers and scientists which develop a theory and then issue lengthy research to test the theory until they have discovered and ended their research with conclusions. This helps the discovery of gender and breaks down innocence with exposure. The dissection of gender is done on a scientific level, and gender becomes a symbol, a category, a behavior, and an instinct. This leads to the explanation of gender as a statistic, one which is echoed in popular writings, to question and doubt before that question is answered as a motivation of persuasion over what is expected in a certain percent of similar cases. Females and males are two separate explanations that can lead to the development of theory and hypothetical thought. Females from Venus and males from Mars are one of the modern transitions of trying to explain why two genders are different. The classification of differences leads to gender segregation and helps to explain the reasons behind gender and separate behaviors. Genders can lean towards taste, and females are constantly classed as being the kinds of people who seek consumerism because they have an innate love for magazines and shopping, whereas males, on the other hand, are classified as seeking morality because they like comics, where they can be taught the difference between good and evil, as stated by this writer in this book. The ingrained social movements are the things that help to form social expectations, and we know that social expectations have a major influence on the way society functions. So I'm not going to read all this because it's so boring, but I'm going to look at the end. So where's my ending? Somewhere down here. That's not the end. Oh, maybe this is my conclusion. Humanity reads to discover, and a writer writes to announce their observation. It is a pact through which all involved learn, and they ask questions as they receive answers, and as they form opinions and agree to disagree, and they learn and live with their teachings embedded in deep. So this whole little bit here is supposed to be 150 words because that's like the conclusion. And all this writing that I've gobbled on was supposed to be segmented into 3 segments, which were based on your thesis at the beginning. So I put learn, acknowledge, and perceive gender, but no one really got that. So getting a 2.3 in my first thing, because I didn't have a clue what the hell I was doing, has led me to redo it. And so I've got a much longer intro now. So it's like, I argue the exposure of gender in contemporary literature is influential because it encourages the development of a specific generation, modernizes the execution of political power, and it increases awareness of individual exploitation on a social scale. So those are more my redeveloped segments. So my intro is a lot more words, as you can see. I'm still dabbling with it though. This is just like a rough draft because I'm going to take a full week to do a done-up version of what was my assignment. So it says, the role of gender in contemporary literature helps to outline the influence on a generation in a developing society which offers a landmark towards cultural idea of exploitation, of political control, which impacts the individual who embarks to develop a lifestyle over a world that relies on social degradation on a universal scale. In some instances, this leads to exploitation, which is utilized to gain influence over those who are dependent on literature to help assist them in understanding who they are, their place in the world, and why they exist. This is encouraged by political societies who wish for definite control to help form generations. So that was my intro. And this is the beginning. I've only done up to this bit here with the redevelopment. So this is the redeveloped version. Because the other way was just me gobbling on. So gender is the identity to which all human beings can link themselves. Gray argues that it is necessary to create an understanding of gender differences to inspire trust, raise personal dignity, and ensure personal responsibility. As a result of questioning more than 25,000 participants, Gray was able to define how men and women were different. To describe gender in literature is to describe humanity as a whole, the role each person plays as they live out their lives through generations. Palgrave argues that the privileged use of a language involves concepts defined by a language, thereby simultaneously subjecting concepts and categories defined by other languages. This causes a universal effect that makes a global understanding of a goal to be achieved. These are the main connections to any individual who looks at things to discover themselves and their society. This is a result of seeing through the eyeglass to perceive the notion of what you do know and what you do not already know. McKay argues writing relates to the genius and integrity required under the midst of a purely patriarchal society. So that's sort of more like what you're supposed to be doing. So it's completely different. And I'm like, yeah, I have to sort of guide this towards the idea of generational observation in writing and blah, blah, blah. I have to sort of find more text and everything. So I think this is going to be a very involving project. And I'm like, it's a little beyond my head, but I did this tiny little bit today. So, and that took a couple of hours because my computer is very slow. And then my internet decided it didn't want to work, so I couldn't continue my bowl. So I have to close my internet for a few hours. Maybe I'll get to do more tonight, but either way, that's all I've done. And I've got so much to do, and I've only got this week and next week. So it's a Sunday next week that it's actually due, and I'm like, I have to get all this right. So, oh, it's so stressful. And of course, I'm still dabbling with the referencing system. I don't have any of the referencing system right at all. Today had to put full stops instead of commas. I thought I needed commas, but then I realized I need full stops instead of commas, and then I had to redo it. I'm doing chapter with a little 1 next to it because that's how it is in the example, and I don't even really know why the 1's there. So I might have to review that too. Yeah, so university is pretty darn hard, and I don't know if I'll get it right, but just sort of giving it a go and see how I go. I can't get worse than my 2.2. I think it was 2.25 out of 55 marks, so which was what my first one was worth. So I was like very surprised and disappointed. But when you realize how much you've actually gotten wrong, you realize that you probably did deserve that 2.25, but it was a surprise because you don't know what the hell you're doing, and you thought you'd written a pretty darn good assignment, but then you realize you hadn't. But once you realize like the whole construction of the whole entire assignment has to undergo what you might deem as surgery, then you realize, oh my gosh, I had so much wrong. And that's because I didn't have any understanding. I haven't done uni in ages, and I usually just guff my education and learning. I don't really have a high level of understanding or intelligence, and so I'm like always just like pasting things together, just and waiting for something to fit to pass, rather than fully understanding what the hell you're doing. So obviously I had to learn. I learned a lot after reviewing this little video that was sent out a couple of weeks ago, but because I didn't realize information, when you scroll down from a particular page, the information on the bottom is actually your teachings and your learnings. And so I was sort of last week, it was even just last week, I was reviewing information that had been passed like several weeks before, and then I was like, oh, I missed that video, and then I watched it and it gave me so much understanding, like so much more understanding. I was like, oh, I'm so glad that I found that, because then I made these little notes of the things that you have to look out for. So these are the notes that I made from the video. So I started here, and then I sort of wrote that later. So it says that you need 3 journal references to 3 journals, at least 5 scholarly texts, so that's a minimum. And then you got repeat keywords, which is putting everything on your introduction and then repeating them throughout your assignment. So repeat keywords from the thesis statement. So that's 3 segments that you need in your assignment. Keyword in the first sentence. See, I didn't even include that yet. P is is make a point, provide evidence or examples, and write conclusions. So that's what P stands for. And then it says essay. What does that say? Yeah, that's just like the layout of your you know how you put a name on your essay? It's like your name and then underscore final essay kind of thing. I didn't even put final essay. I should put that down. And then I put the layout of your assignment. So your intro is supposed to be 150, your conclusion is supposed to be around 150. The body, your first body is supposed to be 300, second body is supposed to be 300, and third body is supposed to be around 300. So that's sort of the rough estimate of what your assignment is supposed to be made out of. So all these were my important notes that I'm still using. So they're really good. So that's what I pretty much learned last week off the video. But now I'm trying to apply what I learned and do everything all over again. So it's tough. It's really tough to get everything right. So I'm just trying for a pass here. I'm not trying for blinding colors. I'm not sure if I'll pass, but I hope I do, because I'm gonna totally flog out a full review, and I still need to review. I reviewed one of my assumptions today, and it's been totally changed, and so and I think I have to review all my other assumptions too, because they're just descriptions and then a question at the end. It needs more questions to all of them. So I'm waiting for the teacher's comments, so I'll probably review them on Friday and submit them by Sunday. But it's quite difficult actually. And then I finish next Sunday, so then I'll be like, yes, I finished. I'm sick of this stupid course that I got myself into. I don't know if I have the strength to be able to finish a whole degree. Like, this is just one segment. But if I finish it, I'll be like, oh my gosh, I finished and I passed. That would be amazing. To pass and finish. To finish and pass. I hope I do pass. I would hate to do it again. But if I did fail and had to do it again, I'd have more understanding of what the hell I'm supposed to be doing. So, yeah. But that's what I've been doing today.